Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens one on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 817. Hopefully, you guys have had a great night. I've got a great guest for you, Madam Euphoria. You want to tell us how you're doing and where we can find you?
I'm doing great. You can find me on Instagram at madam underscore euphoria, and that's about it. I have an Etsy store, but that link's in my bio, so I'm not gonna shout that whole thing out.
Oh, no worries. I will have them in the description before the end of the show.
Sweet.
Right on. So, what did you bring anything to smoke on this evening? Might as well.
Um, I didn't. I'm on a tolerance break right now. I got some surgeries coming up at the end of next month, so I gotta cut back for that.
Right on. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, I guess we might as well start where we always do. When was the first time you used or seen cannabis?
Oh, dude, the first time I used cannabis was actually when I met my husband. I didn't start smoking cannabis until I was like 23, I want to say, somewhere in there, 22, 23. I was late. Everybody else had already done it in their teens and everything. So, but yeah, started at 23. Kind of did it to get off all my anxiety meds. I was on Xanax and, a bunch of different stuff that they put me on. I have PTSD. Don't do well in like large groups of people. So my husband had smoked since he was a teenager, and he was like, "Well, try this. This might work for you, you know." I don't like that you're taking a whole cabinet full of medicine just to function. And I wasn't even really functioning. It was more of like zombie mode is what he calls it. So got off all of that and been smoking since, and it's been the best thing for me.
What was the first thing that you smoked? I mean, I guess right around this time, I guess there was probably a name or a strain to.
It was some flower, something that my husband's sister had grown or had gotten from one of her buddies, and that's what I smoked. And it got me blasted to where it was, yeah, I haven't been that stoned since.
Fair enough. So I guess it's been medical, obviously, been medical from the get.
Yep. Yep. Medical for me from the get go. I actually did just let my card go and I am completely wrecking out, but I have plans to go back to the medical side of it.
So I guess what were some of the initial strains or what worked best for you in the beginning there?
I'm a sativa person, and this is gonna sound really weird because like I know sativas tend to like up people, but for me, because I have such high functioning anxiety, uppers tend to do the opposite for me. They bring me down and they like mellow me out to where if I take and use like an indica or something that's like a heavy downer, I'm just in the pits. Like I'm not wanting to do anything. It's just like depression and terrible. So I tend to stay away from the downers.
Do you prefer edibles, smoking, vaping,
I
dabs?
like I'm a vapor and a dabber.
Yeah.
Yep. Typical millennial. I'm gonna say that. I'm a vapor. It's terrible. I'm trying to get off the vaping and go more towards like dabbing and back towards flower, but it's hard, man. That convenience is just it's a lot.
Do you grow your own medicine?
Oh yeah, we usually do. We're in the process of moving right now, but yeah, we usually have like legal amounts of plants in my house. My husband grows it and I just kind of tend to it and trim it all. So he does all of that for us. He manages the home grow and I just do what he tells me.
You want to tell a little bit about your grow process? How
Yeah.
I guess used to be anyway before.
Yeah. I mean it still is. We do it in our vegetable garden too. We use the frugal method. I don't know if you've heard of Abolish Farms. I'm pretty sure you have. You and I have been in the same circle for quite a while. And yeah, he's a real good buddy of mine. Showed me how to grow for pretty cheap, not like break the bank. And I stuck to it, tweaked it a little bit here and there, made my own kind of like improvements that worked for my area. But yeah, frugal. We keep it cheap and as cost friendly as possible.
What type of what strains do you grow?
My favorite to grow is I like Northern Lights and I also like Blue Dream. Those are my top two. And then to round out the top three, I would say Durban Poison. Those are my top 3 to grow at home.
Um, so how would you say cannabis helps you with your anxiety?
A ton, a ton. It's to the point where I have been able to like do so much with my career and like experience so much in the community that I wouldn't have done any of that. I wouldn't have left my house. I would have been like, yeah, right. You want me to go where with how many people? No, I'm not doing that. Now it's like, oh, we're going where? Cool, let me smoke and then we'll go. And I'm totally fine. So it's literally changed everything about my life. And it's great.
You wish you would have started earlier.
Oh yeah, dude. So earlier. I wish I would have like never gotten on any of the medication and like the day I got diagnosed, I wish I would have had somebody that had that knowledge and was like, hey, you need to try this versus going on that because it would have saved me so much money and so much time and so much like just bad everything, bad like experience with some of the medications, bad side effects, all of it. So I definitely advocate for people to give cannabis a try if you have anxiety versus taking like the crazy prescriptions and stuff they make you take. Because like coming off a lot of that stuff too is hard. I didn't have a lot of the like bad come off or like withdrawals, I guess you could say, from it. But I've had some friends that it was like really bad for them.
So many people suffer from anxiety. What would you say to those that debate on using cannabis in place of anxiety meds?
Start slow. That would be my advice. And don't a lot of bud tenders nowadays want to give you the highest THC. Don't go for that. Go for the lowest. And a lot of the time, I suggest like a 1-to-1 for people with anxiety because it's a lot like easier to get in and you can understand what your body's doing more on something lower doses versus going in straight with that, 90% THC, which to me, like that's not even a real thing. I feel like they're just slapping that on there.
Would you suggest they dab? I mean, how would you tell them?
I definitely suggest starting with flower first. I definitely don't suggest going right to dabs. That's not something I would suggest for a brand new smoker. I would definitely say like flower and start small and then work your way up. I definitely wouldn't go straight to dabs. That if somebody with anxiety, at least my kind of anxiety, that would have put me straight into anxiety, like panic attack, because of not knowing what being stoned felt like versus now I know what it feels like and I know what to expect and I know kind of like where I need to be comfortable. To where somebody starting out isn't going to know that and they're just going to instantly overdo it, I think, in my opinion.
Do you find that dealing with the plant helps with the anxiety?
Yeah, it's really therapeutic. Even like me trimming, I do a lot of trimming for a lot of like my friends and local growers and stuff around me, and it's very therapeutic to go in and just be able to have that time and like sort through your thoughts and everything. Yeah, it's very therapeutic. So like even if you don't smoke it, growing it or just growing plants in general, house plants, vegetables, any of that definitely is therapeutic for that.
Actually, find it's equal to the medicine, to be honest, with
Yeah.
cultivation, I think.
Yep. I definitely agree on that. Definitely.
So do you have a favorite? Do you guys like train the plants? How do you how do
Um, we
you-
train them. We tile all of our stuff down. I use fabric pots, so I have gotten crafty and the climbing hooks. I use those and I tie the string to that pretty much and tie the plant to that and clip them to the handles that way. And that's how we train our plants. I like them really low and spread out long.
you guys use what you using for lights?
I have Spider Farmer lights. I haven't looked at them in a minute and I'm terrible about all this information. I think they're 1,000 watts. We have 2 of them. We had a 4x4 walk-in that we were using to grow in for a while.
Right.
Yep. So nothing fancy.
Shouldn't be really. You know what I
No.
mean? Sometimes I think that people will complicate the growing process in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure. They add so much extra stuff that you don't need in there most of the time. And it's just because it's just they're eccentric and that's the way they want it. So, but everybody's got their own way.
So I guess what's been one of your favorite things about entering the cannabis community now? I've seen you at one event anyways.
Yep. I like it. It's to be honest, like I went from corporate like restaurant world straight into cannabis. I left my restaurant job and just dived headfirst into it. Starting with the trimming thing, did that for a couple years. I did that until probably end of 2020. I stopped trimming for a lot of the bigger companies then and started doing more of like just small time caregiver guys that I had been, getting product from or had known through friends that needed help. And that's probably my favorite thing is just like meeting all the people and being able to get out there and still do what I like and support my family too. So like that's been cool. You're muted.
Thank you.
Gotcha. You're welcome.
So I guess what do you do when you're at the events there? The first time I seen you, you was real quick, and then the second time I seen you, the tent you weren't open, so I didn't actually get a chance to step in and see where
Yeah.
you're going.
So if I'm attending an event and I'm not vending, I'm just there to hang out. I network a lot of the time. I get a lot of people that hit me up on Instagram that want to meet up and talk like trim prices with me or just like want to meet and hang out. So like I just go to meet and hang out people. People want to hang out, like hit me up if you're at an event and you want to burn one, I'm down. So I don't want people to think like I'm this person they can't come up and talk to. Like come up and talk to me. Like I want to get to know you guys.
How long has it been, all in all? You look fairly young, so I'm guessing
Oh,
23 hasn't been that long ago.
I'm 30, almost 32.
Yep,
So 10 years almost.
right on.
Yep, be 32 in September. So,
That's awesome. That's a
yep.
long time to be off of the anxiety medicines.
Yes.
And that's what I think the greatest impact lies, to be honest with you. They're bad enough because of the side effects and the way that they treat your body. But I'm more
Hmm.
over worried about people in the long run, long term
Yeah,
use. Being
for
tough.
real. No, for sure. And like that's something we're looking into. I mean, I've taken other medication too, but like I got diagnosed with cervical cancer last year, stage 1, and that's what I'm having surgery for at the end of this year to have that all removed finally. Um, and I'm like 80% sure when I was younger with that Gardasil shot that they were passing off on all of the kids, I'm sure like I got cervical cancer from that because the statistics and like everything just it doesn't line up. So it's crazy. Cancer's a bitch.
Sorry to hear that. Hopefully,
Nah, it's cool. It's manageable and like it's life. So I just take it day by day and live it the best I can for as long as I got. So
right on.
yeah.
Good attitude to have. It's a good
Yeah, you got to. I have kids too, so like I try to stay really positive for them. So
How do you feel about cannabis and kids? You know what I mean? I mean,
it's like alcohol. I don't see why I can't go have a joint when, Susie over here can go have a glass of wine when her kids are acting up and being crazy. Why can't I go smoke a bowl or a joint real quick and come back and be happy mom like she's about to be with her alcohol? So that's the way I view it. My kids know it's medicine. They know they're not allowed to touch it until they're of age, so they ask questions, I answer honestly, but in kid terms.
right on. I've asked because I've seen so many parents, and
Oh yeah.
everybody handles it differently. But I've seen so many people still to this day, even with it being a commonplace, in the home,
Yep.
that they tend to hide it. And to me, that's a terrible representation. Like there's something they're doing something wrong. Now, you know what I mean? And I think it's not being part of that's kind of still making a stigma for it rather than sitting down and explaining to them that it is a medicine.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think when you kind of hide it or whatever, that you can do put that idea in their head like there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, if you're hiding it from them, they're instantly going to think, "Oh, this is bad. Why are they hiding this from me? This isn't something that they should be doing." When I don't hide it from my kids. They know I smoke. They know you know what I mean? They know my husband smokes. They know the rules. They know they're not allowed to touch it. They're not allowed to be in our area that is designated for us. We have a whole area room, you know what I mean? That's a smoking game chill room that they're not allowed to go in. So they know. And like my oldest is 13 and my youngest is 10 months. So between the four of my kids, they all have been educated on it.
So I guess what is one of your favorite things about cannabis?
What was one of my favorite things, man? I don't even know. I haven't been asked that. So that's a hard question actually. Um, I think the freedom it gives me to be able to actually be myself and not this person in the shell that can't go out and like be a person. I get to go out and like live life and do what I want and not be held back by something that I have no control over really in the long run. So
Yeah, no. So I heard you mention you did let the medical card go and you consider yourself recreational these days. Um, do you think there is a difference there? As though, there a line there?
um that depends. It depends who you ask really. And in my opinion, I think there is because with when I think of recreational cannabis now, that it's been passed legally, I think of people going to the dispensary. When I think of medical cannabis, it's more of going to like the caregiver and you're going to somebody who's actually really educated because like most of these bud tenders aren't educated. They hire Joe Small off the street. They give them the rundown of whatever the products are. Half these products they haven't even used, so they don't know and they're just talking out their butts. So I definitely would consider like caregivers more medical and like dispensaries more recreational because again, the dispensaries and the most of the provisioning centers, there's a handful in Michigan, but most of the provisioning centers don't care. They just want to pump out as much as they can and fill their shelves and they don't care about educating and they don't care about any of that. So
Sadly enough, that is very true and something I'm actually very worried about
yeah.
because I'm seeing that more and more. You know, the message of cannabis as a medicine is very, very quickly being lost.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you go into dispensaries now and like the medical side is like a couple shelves and the recreational is the entire dispensary. So like they're not catering to what it initially started out as a rec or as a medical, you know what I mean? Um basically vice for people to help them get off of other hard, things that are not helping them in the long run and recreational is taking over. And it's pushing the medical out and it's making it just one big thing and it's not there really is two different sides.
There is 100%. I have always wished that medical would have made that impact first, from coast to coast, rather
Yeah.
than medical. Because I honestly believe that once that recreational will go coast to coast, that the medical message will be lost. And I think that's been done intentionally
Hmm.
by the big companies, big pharma, and all that, because the medical side of cannabis was making such an impact at
Oh
such
yeah, it was helping multiple people and they didn't like that. It was getting people off of medicine, they were losing money and they had to figure out a way to get money back. So it's all lobbying and all who's got the deepest pockets at that level and it sucks. And it needs to change. It needs to be more back about the patients and the plant and not so much how much money I can line in my pockets and screw over Chad to get to this person. You know what I mean? So it's got to change.
So I guess how do you prefer to trim? Do you prefer your trim wet, dry?
I like dry. And
Yeah.
it really, if I can get away with it, I like to do fresh frozen. I got to do fresh frozen for the first time a couple months ago, and that's so much easier. So much easier. But I'll get down old school. I'll trim it wet. I trim it right on the stick. So just depends. Whatever the client wanted at the time or needed. Still could out trim whoever wanted to come up against me in Michigan, probably. I'm willing to throw that out there.
I think a lot of people would be willing to pass that buck along. Why do you think people why hate to trim so much? Why is it
It's
categorized?
it's tedious. It's so tedious. And you're hunched over and you're doing this for hours and people hate it. To where me, give me my headphones, give me some good music and a podcast, and I'll be checked out for 6 to 8 hours.
You know? So I guess what is the going rate for trimmers these days? It has sadly gotten down
Uh,
quite a bit.
Sadly, corporate is not looking very good for trimmers. I've seen corporate, if you're not working for a private company and you're working for corporate, it's anywhere from like 15 to I'd say max 18 an hour. And that's 18 if you're like trim lead and you're running the entire show, which is garbage. Cause like you can go work at Amazon for $20 an hour right now and not have to deal with any of that BS, not deal with any of the people, work in your own little cubicle and get benefits. So it's not looking very good for trimmers. Cannabis needs to step up and pay their trimmers more, especially because they're the ones that are making your weed look nice.
True that. I think there's a lot of places in cannabis that should and pay more, and I think it should start with those bud tenders that you were
Yeah.
talking
They
about.
need to go through to schooling too. I think they need to have some kind of like crash course that they need to be able to do to get some kind of knowledge if they don't have knowledge, because it's bad.
And some of that, I think I've talked about this before. Uh, we have to force the information on some people. I think if you go to a new provisioning center, they should have to make you go through some type of like 20-minute counseling. You should
Hmm.
have to sit through like a video that what terpenes are, how they affect you, yada
For
yada.
real.
Or you can just sign a waiver. It says, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then
Whatever.
they'll put you somewhere it doesn't matter where you're not gonna fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Jeez. But yeah. No, I agree. There definitely needs to be like some kind of like outline for those people and like some kind of checklist for them to meet to be able to even get that job, because you can't have random people selling things that they don't know about to people that don't know what they're using, because that leads to misinformation and bad judgment calls.
Maybe that's part of the game as we're talking about. To confuse those who want to use cannabis as a medicine. You
Yeah,
know,
because the mass amount of people aren't gonna look into it and pay attention to it. They're gonna say, "Oh, it's on the shelf. It passed testing. It's safe for me to use. I can use this. It's fine." And in the long run, you don't know what it's gonna do to you. You have no idea how to use that because you've never used it before. So some of the cannabis, if you use it the wrong way, it could seriously make you sick.
it strikes me funny that uh, dabs seem to be the preferred method with people with bad anxiety because I've kind of noted, and again, this is just kind of personal observation, and it could be, just the way things are today, but it seems like more and more the youth, the younger people that I see starting with cannabis, start with the dabs, and then have the anxiety. So I kind of often associate, or I'm starting to associate
Yeah.
anxiety with dabs. And then
Yeah.
I kind of think to myself, well, the entry level nowadays is dabs. Where do they necessarily go from there? Is it, a mandatory, I guess, like, well, you're on a tolerance break for another reason, but is it,
Yeah.
would you have to go through a long time tolerance break to
For
kind of
me, no, but I don't. over medicate to get like obliterated. I medicate to get to a certain point to where I can function throughout a day. So it's not like I'm I mean, I am smoking all day, but it's not like I'm constantly hitting my pen. It's like a couple times in the morning, or if like I feel anxious, I'll go take a dab really fast. You know what I mean? And the dabs for me work really nice because it's like a good punch to the face. And then I'm fine. My anxiety's leveled out. I can go do what I need to do, and then that's it. With flour, it was more of like I had to smoke 2 or 3 joints and then I would wait 30, 40 minutes and then I would start to feel it. But by that time, I'm already in a full blown panic attack and like it's not working for me. So for me, dabs work better, but I definitely wouldn't recommend that for a newbie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even recommend edibles for a newbie, somebody that's never used cannabis, but that's just my opinion.
Now we've talked about, you said you're a sativa person, but cannabis is way more than, sativa indica, which we've already kind of thrown that out the window these days as well.
Yep.
So, but I believe that the terpene profile is a big part of what goes on with cannabis and what necessarily helps, this with that. I believe it's somewhat of a spirit medicine. In fact, where when you're nosing whatever type of cannabis you're using, your nose will tell you, in fact, this is the one, this is your medicine. So what's your terpene profile? What works best?
I don't really know the name of the terpene, but I like the real like floral, fruity flavored terpenes. I don't like if it tastes like I licked the rock. Like if I'm licking dirt. Like the real earthy stuff, I'm not a fan of the earthy stuff. I like smooth and I like fruity and I like flowery. So those are the profiles I like.
The floral for me, it helps out really well. The florals and the pine uh,
Mm-hmm.
clear my head every time. But the pine for me is like a twofold because
Yeah.
I can use that one for clearing my head and calming me down and opening up my lungs, or I can double up on that bad boy and laugh my ass off. So
Yeah. See, I'm with my anxiety, if I get too giggly, I'll get into a panic attack too. That's happened before. It's where I've gotten so stoned that I've like laughed so hard that it's sent me into a full-blown panic attack. And my husband's looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you were fine 2 seconds ago, and now you're laughing and you're having a panic attack. I don't understand this. So that's a flip side of anxiety is I get random laughing panic attacks where I laugh and I just can't breathe. It's terrible.
do you guys do anything with your guys' flour? Do you make any kind of extracts or
I am currently working on rosin for myself only because I'm really picky and I like to just do my own thing all the time, which is terrible for my pocket, but great for life experiences. But no, I completely just forgot the question. Oh,
you guys make tinctures or
we
whatever?
don't. We do make edibles though. We make brownies and like cookies and I do want to start making more tinctures. I have some medicated jams that I've been working on. I'll have jam at Third Eye, but it won't be medicated. So I do have infused coconut oil that we make, and I do plan on making edibles and jams with that and selling that to the public eventually. But I want to get that a little more on lock before I release that.
It sounds good, to be honest with you. I've never had any medicated jams, but
Mm-hmm.
smells pretty good.
Yeah. I like quick things. So like if I can grab it, make a bagel and put it on my bagel real quick and take it with me and nobody's gonna know it's medicated, that's the best thing for me. If I'm like chomping on a brownie at like 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, people are gonna be like, what is going on? So especially where I work, because I work with like older people that don't smoke. So and they know I smoke. So if I'm bringing in, big old funkin' brownie like this big and I'm just like mowing down on it, they're gonna be like, so I like to keep it a little more incognito for me.
I like to see more and more. I'm seeing older folks kind of come out of the cannabis closet a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think it's pretty awesome.
My grandpa actually came out of the cannabis closet a couple of years ago. He passed this year, earlier in the year, but he was one of my biggest supporters in the industry. He was every single time I seen that man, he was always asking me for some kind of something. He wanted to try whatever I had. It was great. And he was like 65, 66. So not old, but still older generation.
Yeah, I actually had I gotten a nice little grin yesterday. You know, I love meeting people. I absolutely love meeting people and getting out and hearing, why people use cannabis. And sometimes you just stumble along, and finding things. And last night, while recording that the Motown thing, I threw up last night.
Oh
These
no.
these sweet old ladies next to us, were talking it up and dancing it up and just having a good old time. And at one point, the one gal comes up and she's all smiling and she says, "Oh, with all this dancing, my hips are gonna kill me later." And she just kind of looks at us and says, "I'm gonna have to go home and eat some of my gummies." And she just like,
That's
and we were like,
awesome.
"Oh," but yeah, you could see in the look that she was
It's
kind of.
so taboo for them. That's what's so great about it. They're like, they think they're breaking rules, and I'm like, no, man, live your best life.
It was
It's
kind of
awesome.
because she had said it to like one of her, one of the other girlfriends there. And yeah, it was totally funny. It
That's
was.
awesome. I love that.
I'm glad more and more people are, especially of age, like that, being more and open to cannabis as a medicine. Because, sadly enough, that's when big pharma really seems to really want to sink their fangs in the deepest. Is like they're trying to drain you on the way out.
Yeah.
We think so.
Yeah.
Meds, as the older you get, seems to be the more and more they seem to cost.
Yeah.
So,
I have a theory that big pharma just wants to keep you sick so they can line their pockets.
oh yeah, I agree.
So they get you on something and then you're good with that. Then something else comes out, then they get you on that. You're good with that. So it's yeah.
So does cannabis help you in other ways? Creativity? Does
Oh yeah. Um, I'm a fiber artist and I like to paint a lot too. So I love cannabis for that. It's literally and it makes creating so much fun, like so much fun.
all right. I'm curious. What's a fiber artist?
Okay, so a fiber artist is anybody. So I work with any kind of fiber medium. So like yarn, fabric, um, hair. I would never do hair, but like things like that, just fiber.
What kind of art do I mean? Do you like
Um, I
paint?
do crocheting, knitting. I just started getting into tufting, which is like rug making. So that's new. And then I'd make jewelry and then paint. So,
That stuff available at the events when you go as
oh yeah.
well?
Yep. I was at Gems and I vended all of my handmade crocheted stuff and I had some soaps from Abolish that he had made and it's completely sold out. I was like really shocked how well everybody had received everything that I made and everything. So it was pretty cool to like go to my first show and sell out and everybody be like excited to see what I did and all that. So
It's awesome.
definitely gave me the vending bug.
And you said you would be at the next one?
Yeah, I will be at Third Eye in Jackson on July 30th.
Right on.
That is the next event. And that is pinned on my Instagram if you need info for that.
The events are a lot of fun. I mean, outside of vending, was that the first actual like event?
Um, that I had vended, yes. That was not the first event I had
Outside
ever
of
been
vending,
to.
just
No.
been to, period.
Nope. No, no, no. I've been to multiple before that. I've been to Hash Bash a bunch of times before, and I went to the Wash Off earlier that year, and then like 2020, I went to a bunch of events. I'm at events all the time. I just don't post it on Instagram. very often because sometimes I don't post where I'm at the day of. I wait a couple days and then post.
I love the events myself.
No, they're fun. It's fun to get out and see everybody. And like a lot of people I talk to in the industry, I don't get to see on a daily basis. And we just converse through like Instagram or text messages. So it's cool to like see them and hang out and catch up in person instead of like through the screen.
Yeah. I always enjoy, again, kind of like we were talking about a minute ago, the diversity of folks that come.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, you meet the coolest people and you hear the coolest stories. Like I have met so many cool people and heard so many like different stories and different viewpoints on life just from meeting people in cannabis. Like you could learn so much from everybody.
oh, for sure. The last event we met, random met with this cat, Wayne, that happened to be camping next to us. And some of the coolest stories and all that came
Nice.
in just, yeah, it was weird,
Yeah,
but cool people. I love the events 100%.
nice. Yeah, well, I got to see a guy eat a 18-gram mushroom at Gems. He was like 20 feet ish from my booth. That was fun.
Wonder how that worked out.
Oh, he ran around naked, dude. He ran,
Yeah.
that was at Gems. He was naked. He was like digging his own grave. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it got real dark. It's one of the reasons I haven't done shrooms yet. It scares the crap out of me. I mean, that's obviously like an exaggerated thing because he ate it way more than you probably should have, but like it scares me. For my PTSD and like my anxiety, everybody's like, oh, microdose, microdose. I'm like, I don't think I can microdose. Like, yeah, you guys don't know the amount of like PTSD I have and just I would literally be in my own head, I think, and it would just be bad for me.
Yeah. I'm right there with everybody else on that, but you have to be ready for it, I guess. Uh, but I do believe it would probably help you in a lot of ways.
Everybody says I'll eventually maybe rip that band-aid off one day, but seeing people eat 18-gram mushrooms doesn't help me.
Yeah, that wasn't wise, especially probably on his part. But
Mm-mm.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, mine was accidental. To be honest with you, I was just trying the light aspect of things, and then fucked up on a wet dry dose. And
Oh
didn't,
no.
yeah, and then fucking went super deep. But
Oh,
it was a brutal night, but changed my life on the other side of that, man. I would do it totally again, 100%. I think because I dealt with everything that was well bad at that point, I don't think the next round would be as
as
brutal.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Everybody I've talked to says that it's more of like a working on yourself and like an inner thing. Basically, you kind of like get to see yourself from the outside type thing. So
Right on. Yeah, hopefully someday you venture a little bit into that. It's kind of inedible, really. I think cannabis and psilocybin, they kind of lead to each other. I do.
yeah, I've been told multiple times that'll happen. Everybody's waiting. There's bets to my friends on what age I'm gonna do it at. So
Do you feel like cannabis has held you back in any kind of way since you started?
no, not at all. Not one bit at all. If I hadn't done cannabis, I would be held back, to be honest. I wouldn't do have been able to do the things that I've done and accomplish the things that I've accomplished over the last 10 years without it.
Yeah. So I guess back to the kids a little bit. I mean, how do you see what will be your words when it crosses your path with the children there?
What do you mean for them to like use or
Yeah.
when they're 21? For sure. I'm not unless one of them presents like a medical need for it. I don't think I'm gonna let them use it before they're 21. Just because I did it until I was 23. And I know there's some developmental things that happen with that if you use it before a certain age. So
Right on.
I would try and prolong it as long as I could, unless there was a medical need for it. Then obviously I would jump on that train because I'm not going to deprive my kid of medicine that's going to help them.
Not so okay then for recreational later in life, then I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I would have no reservation for that. I mean, I'd want them to come to me and use my sources versus go somebody, random off the street that they don't know, because, you never know. But yeah, I would have no objections to it. They want to use if they're legal age. I have no objections. I would support that 100%.
Right. I didn't know what to do when it came to me. It was weird. But
Yeah.
ultimately I was good. I
Yeah.
was
I mean, my parents were kind of shocked when they found out that I smoked, but I had found out that they smoked when I was like 12. So I had already known that they were potheads, and they just never told me until I was an adult. And then I kind of showed up one day, was like, "Hey, let's smoke this." And they were like, "What? What do you mean?" I was like, "I smoke weed. Like, I know you guys smoke. Let's burn one." And I smoked a joint with my parents.
nice.
So that's how my parents found out I smoked.
Right on. So you say you did get high the first time. You know,
Yes.
I've got a feeling about that, dude. Um, I'm on the fence right there about why people get high the first time. And so I honestly think that people that do get high the first time have been around it just a little bit, just enough to kind of break a barrier, if you will, to where the people that don't get high that first time have lived, a pretty clean life, haven't been
Yeah.
exposed to it. And so, were you kind of pre-exposed to
Um,
cannabis before
Not
using?
really. Nope. I hadn't seen it really. I mean, I knew what weed was, but like I had never physically seen it in person until I was 23. Like I'm not joking. Literally never. I was straight, go to school every day. I wasn't a straight A student, but I was like pretty good grades wise, and like followed what my parents said, did, do what they said not to do. I was a good kid. Now, not so much. But you get older, you learn.
Do you see yourself pushing on in the cannabis field?
Oh yeah, I'm not going anywhere. This is my career field. I love it. Even if I'm not working in cannabis per se, I'll probably still be around just for the community and just supporting. Like women in this community need support. They need people that they can go to, people that they can like reach out to for business advice, business experience, stuff like that. Because as much as I don't want to admit this, it's very sexist in this industry, and women do get pushed to the corner a lot and looked over for certain jobs, and they definitely need more representation. And that's my goal, is to have that representation and open those doors for those people so they can go be master growers if they want to, or open their own provisioning centers if they want to, and not have to deal with, male stigma. And not everybody's like that. I've met great people in this industry that, want to support the women in the industry and their businesses and their ideas and what they want to do. So the long term for me, that's my goal, is to make it a fair environment for women and just a fun place for everybody to work, really, and do what they love.
Right on. That's the way it should be. 100%. So where do you see yourself in cannabis? Is it as possible edible maker? Do you see yourself as a
Yeah.
consumer? Do you?
No, I've been the trimmer route, and I'm good on that. Um I ran a trim team of my own privately for a while, and as much as I don't want to admit this, trimmers aren't reliable, especially for private companies. It's really hard to find good people that want to show up every day for work, that want to work 8 to 10 hours, you know what I mean, a day. People don't want to work right now. So my goal in probably the next 5 years is to get my rosin line locked down and get my edible line locked down. move on with that and get licensed and do that.
Well, tell me a little bit about your rosin process. Are you going the hash route? Are you pressing hash?
I'm probably gonna go more the press route. We're right now, we're still really super early in it. I'm like going through strains. I have friends growing strains out for me, and we're trying to find the best ones that work for me, but also press really well. And then those are the ones that I'm going to start with and kind of test and push off to friends first and kind of see what they think about it and then open it up to the public.
Any ideas on how we can force ourselves back into the market? State
That's
of,
hard.
yeah, I mean, I think most, if not all, caregivers would be willing to work with the state of Michigan in
Yeah.
any possible if they would just let us play without, having to jump through many, many hoops. Give us some farmers
Yeah.
markets
There
or
needs to be some kind of a line, like caregivers need to be considered like homesteaders almost at that point, because it's a different output in um quantity and quality, really, because like when it comes down to it, in my experience, caregivers and the smaller grows have way better quality cannabis, better looking cannabis, better growing cannabis, better smoking cannabis, to where the big places are just focused on getting out in volume, and that's it. They don't care what it looks like, they don't care what it smells like, they don't care what it tastes like, they just want to grow 1,000 plants and get it out.
well, one of the bigger things I'm worried about with the recreational market is fad chasing and
Mm-hmm.
kind of it super limiting what is available both for the recreational market and what will be available as medicine in the
Yeah,
medical.
we've seen that with the cookie strains. I mean, look at the cookie strains. They're literally freaking everywhere and everything. And in my opinion, they suck. So, like, I don't get it. I don't get the fads between the names and then the most of the strains that are nowadays aren't legitimate strains. They've been crossed and crossed and crossed and crossed and crossed again. So they're not, in my opinion, they're not great. I like old school stuff. I like heirloom stuff. I like land race stuff, stuff that hasn't been out in everybody's bags, you know?
The one thing that I'm kind of hoping for uh in all this, it's said that a lot of amazing growers are packing it up because they can't find that place in the market and or prices have sank so far they just don't see it feasible
Yep.
to continue into the cannabis field there. But one thing I'm hoping might just maybe come of all that is, a lot of us, myself included, can be guilty of choosing cultivars because of time, faster
Yeah,
flower time,
I'm
and
guilty of that too. Sativas tend to run longer. They're usually like 90 to 120 day grows. And I try to, sometimes I'll cut them early. I'll do like 70 days, 75 days instead of 90, just because like I'm tired of waiting. I don't want to wait the extra 20 days and they've already pretty much finished, but they could definitely use those extra 2 weeks. But we cut them anyways sometimes. So I get it. It's definitely like I said, a convenience thing. It's people need convenience, and some of the strains don't work for convenience.
so I'm hoping what will come out of that is, instead of setting our rooms up for more production, that we will go back, take that chance, throw one in here and there in our gardens, and you know, rediscover some of the long-term sativas. I think that
Yeah.
will bring them back.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that's something that needs to happen, is they need to start doing more of the longer longevity plants and not so much quick turnover crap that's not doesn't have taste. A lot of the faster stuff isn't very flavorful. and it's kind of like you're smoking hay or grass. So needs to change. Needs to be more like more how do I put this? Heart into growing. Like you need to actually care about what you're doing and what you're putting out and doing it the right way and not cutting corners and always looking for the fastest route.
Right. So which have been some of your best yielding strains so far?
Actually, and the best one I ever had was Bubba Kush. I got that from Dank Amigo Seed Co. in California, and I don't even think they are a seed bank anymore. I actually think they are closed now. But yeah, my first ever indoor grow after setting up my first tent from Abolished, he gave me a couple of OGs that I biffed, and those firmed so bad. And I stressed those plants out so bad. I said, you know what, screw it. I'm not doing clones. I'm gonna start from seed. So I bought that pack of the Bubba Kush. We grew them out, and I got like 2.5 pounds from it from inside, which was great for me because most of the time I'm getting a pound to a pound and a half indoor. So, because sativas aren't heavies either. And Bubba Kush, I don't think it's a sativa. I think it's a hybrid actually. So, yeah, that was definitely my highest yielding one. My lowest yielding, I would have to say, would be I got some straw Nana from one of my buddies. It was a clone, and that was terrible. I think it grew like this tall, the entire thing, and I got like two decent sized nugs off of it, and that was it. You muted again.
I don't know how the Zoom one got muted. I always use the mute on the mic usually. I don't know how
Yep,
this. Oh,
you're good. I got you.
thank you. Yeah, it's always a bummer when we put some time into some of them and they just don't yield.
Yeah. Oh, it was totally my fault. I was going in there and I was like texting my buddies. I was like, I don't know why it's growing. Like it's just not growing, but it's putting out bud. Like, and they were like, they probably just didn't cut it in the right spot. I was like, oh, makes sense.
So, is there anything out there that you're looking to try when you get set back up?
Uh, not at the moment. Nothing's really caught my eye. Everything, like I said, seems like it's the same, which sucks because I like variety and there isn't much variety out there anymore. So,
I sadly agree. Sadly agree. I've been kind of hoping or preaching to some of these breeders that putting out work to, in fact, keep their strains proprietary times proprietary, and let the strain stand for itself, the merit on its own merit. You
yep.
know, if you're not looking to see if cookies is in the pack, you know what I mean? Uh, I'm hoping by that it will get rid of some of the hype times hype. You know what I mean? Or people should
Yeah.
label anyway.
Yep. Nope. I agree. I definitely think it needs to change and there needs to be less hype and more education
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
because there's a lot of people that hype everything up, but there's not a lot of people that are willing to give out the education for it. And a lot of the times they won't give it out for free. They want a pretty penny for it. And I believe a lot of this stuff should be free. Like it's knowledge. Like you shouldn't charge for knowledge. You should be able to give it to people. And it's a courtesy at that point because you're teaching somebody something that they might not have known that could set them up for the rest of their lives. It's the same thing like the saying you teach a man uh to fish and he eats for life, or you give him a fish and he eats for a day type thing. So
Not just that, I believe that it should be open source. People should be able to approve on ideas that are being put forth. There's a lot of times where we're all guilty of getting in a rut thinking, the machine ain't broke or whatever. And then it just takes one person to look at the system from the side and go, oh, you're just a little nudge here, and it just runs so much better. And that's what open source learning is basically about. We should each be working together to, solve the best.
Better society, better for everybody. I don't get it. You're doing nothing but hurting yourself in the long run because you're not helping out your fellow human being excel. It's just holding us back.
So, which has been some of your favorite crafts to put together in your fiber art?
Oh, I have been loving these mushrooms right now. I'm making like little stuffed mushrooms. My daughter got the idea. We were scrolling through Pinterest one day and she seen him. She goes, oh, I want you to make me one of those. So I made her one, and then I was like, these might do pretty good in the cannabis industry because like mushrooms and cannabis go hand in hand, and everybody's loved them. So they're going to stick around for a minute, and they're fun to make. My kids like them. They like helping and picking out colors and eyeballs for them. So
Pretty awesome. Okay. So let's see here. What kind of do you guys use any nutrients or anything throughout your grow?
I try not to. I was using Nectar of the Gods one shot for a while, but right now, and well, not right now, but a few months ago, and like when we were growing, we do everything organic. I tried to feed like broke down nutrients as much as possible. So like calcium, and just like flatline what it needs instead of going to the store and buying whatever's in the bottle and throwing it in there, or mixing stuff and do it in there. I'll do some compost teas every once in a while and stuff like that, but nothing crazy.
Who would you say has been one of the biggest influential people that you've met so far in cannabis? Who's had the greatest impact so far?
There's been a couple people actually. It's been a couple people. I would have to say one of the biggest is probably Abolished, one of my best friends in the industry, and like even before the industry. I've known that guy since I was like 19. So for quite a while. And he's actually the one that pushed me to get into the industry and was like, no, you need to go and do something because like you've got skills and you need to do something with these skills. And that was when I started trimming. And he got me in. He introduced me to the Michigan Bros Grow Show and got me hooked up with all those guys. And I met Spartan, who's a big influence too. Great guy, tons of knowledge, always willing to help. Same thing with like Red and Becca. They're super influential people for me too. Like they're great people to learn from. Super nice also, always willing to help. Those are the people that I like in the industry that are putting out the knowledge, but at the same time, don't treat you like you're stupid when you ask a question that you technically really should know, but there's just so much information being thrown at you, you don't get it right off rip. All those guys take the time to explain it to you. They don't make you feel stupid. They'll walk you through it multiple times if need be. You know what I mean? If I need something, they're always the first people there to like help me out and do things. So definitely I would say those people. It's not just one person, it's a village.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about cannabis is there is one hell of a community based to it. Two
Yeah.
sides to it. You have to keep your eye open because there is the cannabis industry, which is
Yeah.
not so kind.
No,
And then
it
there's
really isn't.
community, and what makes what. Man, that's a hard line to decide what,
Yeah.
but there is a difference, and for me it's kind of the money. It's kind of
Yeah, it is. It's once you hit that level, I feel like certain people change. And if you're not a real individual and you're not somebody who's being authentic from the get-go, once you hit that level, you change and you start cutting off those people and you start doing things that you wouldn't normally do because you're not authentic. You don't know who you are. You're just trying to be somebody you're not. And it follows through with once you get to that point. So It just exaggerates it, makes it worse.
Yeah, it's at one point I thought it was all community, and then industry reared its ugly head, and yeah,
Oh, I've dealt with it a few times too myself, man, and it's not a great thing, but you deal with it as it comes, and how you deal with it is basically shows your character and if you've got grace or not. So
yeah, that's why I'm kind of hoping that they'll, because I don't know, for some reason it is the smaller grower, which I kind of still associate with the caregiver market, but I hope that they do open up a place for the community.
yeah,
It
even
is,
if it was a few like designated dispensaries where you could only get caregiver medications, that's fine. Give us that. You know what I mean? Instead of making everybody feel like they're still in the black market and they're doing something illegal for going to a caregiver. Like it shouldn't feel like that.
well, now that, even if we wanted to play their own game a little bit, and let's call it recreation, you
Mhm.
know, uh, why can't we have like a recreational farmers market? I mean, there's places
Yeah.
you have craft beers and sell your craft beers and stuff like that. Why can't there be
They
a
let you walk downtown Ann Arbor now with open containers in certain areas. So like I don't understand why we can't have a cannabis farmers market downtown, Ann Arbor or Detroit or somewhere. You know what I mean? It's outdoors. It's not like we'd be inside somewhere. So
I don't even see why we can't have a place at the local farmers market. Why,
yeah, that too.
you know what I mean? It has to be
Yeah, I guess you do. I guess you're right. You do have people selling like craft beers that they're making in their bathtubs at home and wine and stuff. And you can't even sell cannabis that people are getting tested and, jumping through hoops to grow.
Yeah, I hope so. I that because there is really a craft market to that side of things. A lot more love goes into the cannabis.
Oh yeah. I'd pick small batch cannabis over big batch any day because it's like you said, there's a lot more love that goes into it. People pay attention to it and they put time and effort into it. And it's not just pushing out tons of product. It's their name behind that product. So they gotta have good product. So they're gonna make sure they have good product. And when you get to the big corporate level, you don't care about that. You've already got the money and you have the name. So they stop caring about quality and it's more quantity.
What do you see the market leaning more towards in the future? Do you see what do you see who using what for why? I guess that's
So my experience, and I've trimmed for a lot of the bigger companies in the industry, and over the last year I've been in a lot of the bigger production facilities, and unfortunately I see it going more corporate because of how they have everybody brainwashed with media and everything. And I just, unfortunately, I see it going more corporate and them squashing the caregiver out. Maybe not so much in Michigan because Michigan, we don't like that and we tend to like stand up for our own, but I definitely see it changing in other states to where they might lose medical altogether and it might just be a recreational state.
yeah, I'm totally scared of recreational cannabis. I'm on the record of saying that 100%.
Yeah, I'm nervous for it to go federal. Like, if it goes federal, what's going to happen when it goes federal? Are we going to have to do like a bunch more testing? Is it going to be even more corporate? Are they going to cut more, caregivers out of it if it goes federal? Like, what's that going to mean for everybody else?
That to me will be the final great reset. There'll be a lot more rules and regulations, and those who are already super set up or have a lot of cash are going to make it through the hoops of that
Yeah. And
reset.
it's the guys that are barely making it are going to get squashed out and it's going to suck.
And I think that's the same people that we're up against right now. I think that's the alcohol kind of waiting
Yep.
to sink their money in.
Tobacco and everybody.
Big Pharma. And Big
Yep.
Pharma's got everything to win from there, and as they steal the attention off of medical cannabis, they get to continue to push their poisons, and at the same time, they get to take some of that money and sink it into cannabis.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
playing
for
both sides.
example, Breeze. Breeze was a tobacco vape company, and now they have cannabis vapes, and they're terrible. They're literally packed full of crap. So like that's where it's headed. If tobacco and all of them get into it, they don't care. It's all about a profit for them. They don't care about the consumer. They don't care about anything other than putting money in their pocket.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't care if they make you sick in that process. They'll take
Yeah,
care
they
of
don't
that.
care. You're helping their buddy pharma out.
Yeah.
So it's all a big ploy. It's terrible.
Any ideas how we can work together and take care of the problem?
Just keep growing your own food, keep growing your own cannabis. Don't let them tell you what you can do, because in the long run, it's America. And I mean, yeah, there's laws, but at the same time, if everybody stands up and says, hey, this isn't happening, guess what? It won't happen. But it takes everybody to do that for that to happen. And a good example of that is when the MCMA came to Michigan and tried to push their bill, and everybody stood up and said, no, this isn't happening. And it got dismissed.
Yeah, thank goodness. I seen on your page there the kazoo cups there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty great guy there.
Yeah, I'm sad I broke that cup. I have to get him a hold of him because I need another one. My cat pushed it off the table.
Yeah,
So,
coffee cups. I love my cannabis coffee cups, by the way.
mm-hmm,
What a great way to start the morning.
mm-hmm,
Cannabis,
yep,
really.
yep. He's a good dude.
Great dude. Good. Kazoo's great. Great people right there. Another one of the ones that I like. Again, I'm proud to say all the amazing people that I've met, through the
Mm-hmm,
cannabis community. Period.
yeah. No, there's a lot of good people in this community, and I'm very thankful for the community.
I think it's kind of funny in a lot of ways. These events have their own name or reason for the event, but in a lot of ways, the community shows up and kind of makes it their own
Mm-hmm,
sub event.
yep, yep. No, it's cool. There's always an event in an event. I've noticed whenever you go somewhere, there's always the main event, and then there's always like a bunch of little things going on around everywhere else, and it's really cool to kind of see everybody like come together, and people you wouldn't normally see hanging out or hanging out. So it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm kind of more and more events are opening up to that. Prior, I think there's no think about it. They were just set up to get you in, herd you through, and then goodbye. Where
Yeah,
these events should take an effect that, again, let's play the recreational card. We
yeah.
want to
We're
get together.
stoners. We want to all hang out and smoke in
Yeah.
public, not in our houses.
Yeah, you've made
So
it. You've brought the band and everything. Give us a
yeah,
table to sit at
give
and
us
smoke in
space.
all day. Yes.
Yep. No, I love when I go to events and they have chill out areas where you can like break out what you just bought, and smoke it there instead of having to go home and smoke it. So it's cool. I like it when they have spots where you can hang out and it's not just, go through buy your stuff and leave, because that sucks.
Yeah, I agree. Well, do you have a favorite event so far that you've been to? Has there been one that stood out?
So far this year, I would have to say my favorite has been Gems and Genetics, only because it was my first event vending. It was my first solo event. First event I went to by myself, without my husband, without any of my friends. It was just me and my dog. And it was fun. I had a blast. Probably one of the best ones I've been to.
Yeah, the Pink Floyd and the laser light show was super fun.
I missed that. I left right before that happened. I packed up and drove home.
You missed a good time.
I seen it. I seen the videos everybody posted. I was so mad that I left. I was like, man, I just should have stayed for like 2 more hours and then drove home. But I was only like an hour and a half or 2 hours from home, from where Gems was. So not bad. I was ready to go home. I had sold out. And living on that vendor sold out high. I was like, yeah. So I just went home.
I'm glad you had a good experience like that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully that it wasn't a bad, you know, entry fee and all that.
Oh no, no, super affordable. Gems is definitely, if you're looking to get in and you're an artist and not like a cannabis vendor, I would highly suggest Gems and Genetics to get into that. Even the harem events, definitely get in on those if you're an artist. And then there's one more event that I'm forgetting. Third Eye. Third Eye is another good one to get in if you're an artist. They're very affordable for artists.
Right on.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of cool stuff at the cannabis events, man.
Hmm. I love it. There's so much cool artwork at the cannabis events, especially the glass artists. Like it's insane some of the stuff that they put together. And it's cool watching them all do live demos of some of these. So I know at the wash off they had a bunch of live glass blowers going, and that was cool to see them do that. So
One of the gems of the gems. Ah, for me was it was not art or cannabis or either. It was food. It wasn't
yeah.
even medicated.
No, the food was so good. Oh man, it was so good. Those loaded nachos that the Detroit oh, I'm gonna kill their name. Their barbecue company. They were so good, man. Holy crap.
Me, it was more ganja's bean soup.
Nice. I missed their stuff. I tried to go and get food from them both times and it was gone both times. So I had to go elsewhere. But I didn't get to leave my booth very often because I was so busy. I didn't have time to go and I had nobody to go get food or drinks for me. So
You know, I'm super glad you had that kind of experience. You know, we had been back and forth throughout the weekend, doing whatever and hanging out at the campsite, kind of going back and forth. And it was hard to tell exactly how good the event was because the sporadic in and out.
yeah. So in my opinion, Friday was kind of slow, but at the same time, it was at the beginning of June. Kids were still in schools and like people were still working and it was a Friday. So it was slower then. And then Saturday was packed. Like Saturday, it was busy from the time that event opened till the time I left. There was so many people. So I definitely think they had a good turnout for that event.
Right on.
Definitely one of the busier ones that I've been to.
That's awesome because you know, like I was kind of hinting to a little bit when I was talking about the vendors, you know, and they're a big part of what goes on, but a lot of times, unless the event is put together well, uh,
Yeah.
it's hard for a vendor to keep wanting to do that. You know what I mean? And then sometimes the repeatability of an event plays a big part in that. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you had a good experience overall, especially at this.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I was so nervous, man. I was like, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna sell like one thing, and I sold out. So I was super surprised and super thankful. Like it meant a lot that people were willing to support me like that. So it was cool, and I really appreciate it.
anything, will you be taking anything special to the next event?
Um, Not really. I'll have jam this time around, and that I didn't have last time. Uh, but nope, same stuff. I'll have coasters. I'll have dab mats. I'll have mushrooms. I'll have a couple handbags and a couple stash bags made up for people. So just
Right.
normal stuff I carry.
What kind of jams?
I have blueberry and I have blueberry peach is what I'm bringing.
Nice.
Yep. Blueberries are in season right now.
I know I just happened to pass by the farmer's market today, my local farmer's market, and seeing blueberries on there. And I was
Yep. That's right. I just went and picked up mine. I just picked up 20 pounds today from the farmer's market by us.
like, right on.
So I try to shop local. All of my jams are all local ingredients. Obviously, mine is like sugar because like you can't get sugar local, but everything else is local.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah. Jams are always good. I don't know how I'd be on the medicated jam, so
If I get my dosing right, the last one I got tested was like way too high. It was upwards of like 250 milligrams for the entire jar. I'm trying to get it closer to like 100 milligrams. So once I get that good, then I'll have those and we'll have
So
medicated jams.
at 250,
Yeah,
how was the sandwich?
I was wrecked. It was bad. It was not something I would want to give to somebody just to like, I mean, if you want to get that stone, sure, but not for like medicating, no.
Yeah. I've noticed that the milligrams in what you're eating can make a difference 100%.
Oh yeah.
So like I've had like say 100 milligram sweets and like okay, that didn't hit me, no big deal. And then I've had like 100 milligram pickles
Mm-hmm.
that
Those fuck you up.
fuck
Yep.
me right up.
Yep. I
That-
have no idea what the difference is. It's the same thing for me. It's certain things really get me and some things don't. Like I could like suckers, I could eat suckers all day long. Medicated suckers, they don't do crap to me. But you give me like a medicated taco or like, medicated jalapeno jelly burger, I'm done. I'm gonna be wasted and sleeping in the corner.
it is funny, how that works, or why it works.
Mhm.
I don't know, but
It's
there's
just everybody's bodies are different. Your metabolisms are different. Some things break down faster for some people, I think, than others. And it's crazy. You got to learn your body, I guess.
so. How long before you think you'll be putting out some type of rosin? That's
Uh,
one too. Every strain's different, and
yeah, I would say summer next year for sure. You might see something come out. I don't know if it'll be a ton, but it'll definitely be something. Yeah.
what are some of your favorite things to do these days while on cannabis? Well, recreationally, of course. We're
Oh
talking.
man. Oh, I play tons of video games. I am a video game nerd through and through. It is terrible. I like Diablo a lot right now. That just came out and we've been playing, me and my husband have been playing a crap ton of that. I like to get really, really ripped and watch anime with my 13-year-old. So I do that. That's another fun thing. I do a lot of like running and I take Donald for walks a lot, my dog. So it's just a lot of like chilling. I try to do like not so much hectic things in my free time now and more of like just kind of like getting back to self-centering and chilling out because there's a lot of chaos in my house. I have 4 kids. They run around. The middle kids are 4 and 5. So they're insane and they're boys. So they don't stop. So anything that I can do that can get me away from screaming toddlers for a couple hours is fun to me. So
I heard you mention running there.
mhm,
Fucking, it's one of them things. I'm with you. I like
yeah.
to I like to get wrecked before I run.
Yeah. It's another thing where I can just like check out. And it's also good for you too. So it's nice. I like to shut my brain off and not hear the 1,000 people going on up there all day.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's breaking for me, anyways. It's breaking the stigma of
Yeah,
can.
that we're lazy.
Yeah,
We're not lazy.
oh,
I like to work out and get stoned. It
I
makes me
actually,
work out better.
hell yeah, I like. I'm serious. I like to purposely stink like weed when I go into the gym.
That's funny. I could see that though. People would move away from you.
I don't know. I smoke like literally right up until I pull in and like I take a couple puffs, watch a few people on the treadmill sometimes, and then
That's funny.
and then walk in and literally get on the treadmill next to him, just reeking of cannabis.
That's funny. I love it. I like going to my daughter's school after I've just trimmed a bunch of stuff and I got all the Karen moms looking at me. I'm like, guys, I work in cannabis. Get off my back.
Yeah.
You're either gonna tell me I smell good or you're just gonna keep walking. So keep walking.
Yeah. Do you think that cannabis does hinder you in any kind of way?
Uh Sometimes I've noticed over since I've been using it for 10 years, I know I've noticed some memory issues a little bit here and there, just with like short term. But I've also have some brain damage and stuff too that helps with that. But I definitely think long term cannabis use has led to some short term memory loss for sure.
You know, I've noticed a little bit of short-term memory fucking weirdness lately, but I don't contribute that to my long-term cannabis use. I
No,
no,
you think it's maybe old age?
not even. I think it's more of the fucking scrolling, the flip, flip,
Oh,
flip.
you think so? I didn't even think about that. It could
I
be.
I think it's my electronic addiction that is fucking up my memory, not my cannabis use.
I never put that. I didn't think about that. You might have a good point there with that.
And I don't. Yeah, I'm not putting my cannabis against that yet.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily because I put the two and two together like that because I haven't forgotten the information. It's just
Yeah.
less the instant recall of it. And I think that is because of the flip, flip, flip and the shorter attention spans that Instagram, TikTok, all the above
Yeah.
is, kind of doing to us.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take 5 seconds to answer somebody in chat. Truth 420 asked if Madame Euphoria Farms is the name of mine and my husband's grow. No, my husband doesn't own any of that company. That's my company. That's just what we use for all of my businesses. I have a crafting business and I have a trimming business. So it's easier to umbrella them under Madame Euphoria Farms because now I'm adding jams and rosin to that. So it's just kind of like a collective brand versus the actual farm itself.
All right. Now I want to follow up on that question.
Okay.
How did you settle on Madame Euphoria?
My uncle actually gave me that name. So I was advised by Abolished before I even joined cannabis that I needed some kind of a name that wasn't my legal name, which my legal name's out there now. It's on my Instagram. Everybody knows it. So I don't care anymore. But a way for me to not have my legal name out there and work in cannabis because I have small kids and I was worried about backlash and everything else. And basically, it was my uncle came up with a random name to give me that would work in cannabis, and Madame Euphoria just kind of popped out of nowhere. And he was like, "You should just call yourself Madame Euphoria." I was like, "Okay, we'll run with it," and it just stuck. And then I ended up trimming, and people were like, "Huh, I see why you're called Madame Euphoria because you come in and you trim and you leave everybody in euphoric feeling when you leave because all the weed's trimmed and we don't have to do it." I was like,
Mhm.
"Huh, that's funny. That fits. That's cool. I'll roll with it." So we kept it and it just stuck.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
Thanks. I think it's a good name too.
Let's see here. What type of music? I mean, cannabis and music go hand in hand. What kind of music would you like to see, or do you like to see at some of these events?
I am a band nerd at heart, so I don't have like a specific genre per se I listen to. Like good music's good music. Like if it is good music and like I like the music, I don't care what it is. I listen to rock, rap, hip hop, like all of it, classical, doesn't matter, reggae. Just if it's a good music, good song, I'm listening to it.
All right. All right. That didn't narrow it down any.
Nope. I like to keep it open. I don't know. I don't like boring. I like variety and I like difference. I don't know. I don't like the same things all the time. So I tend to just, whenever I listen to something, I tend to pick one thing and just kind of shuffle it and let it play whatever it suggests. And Spotify now has this cool flipping feature where it's got this DJ that it's an AI, but it basically like curates stuff to what you've listened to and pulls out new music and shows you new music on top of it. So like it's been great over the last 6 months since that's dropped in my Spotify. I've opened my music door way bigger.
I like the fact that a lot of these events have, as you kind of suggested, have been more open to all types of music.
Mhm.
Back in the day, a lot of it was just super loud rap music,
Yeah, trap music. Yep.
and it was, yeah, it's not for everybody, but a lot of these events now they've got a little bit of like blues, a little bit of country, rock and roll cover bands. They've even got a little bit of rap in there,
Yeah.
but they're trying to cover the bases a little bit for everybody.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. Like at Gems, they had a little bit of everything. They had rock, they had reggae, they had a DJ that played a little bit of everything. So it was pretty cool.
Right now. I kind of hope that more of these events are centered around the arts, crafts, and music side of things. You know, I don't necessarily think that we need cannabis vending in particular for a good event. You know,
No. Yeah, no, you don't. You just have to have a good collection of vendors. Doesn't have to be just cannabis vendors. Cause like even at Gems, there was like there was a lady selling stickers. Like literally just vinyl stickers. Like just more variety. You don't need 15 booths of cannabis all selling turkey bagged weed. Like nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to go to the show or to walk 15 tables of turkey bag cannabis.
I agree. In fact, I think that in itself is kind of a negative for the events themselves. You know,
Yeah.
you could have them turkey bags under the table, you know, and available, and just have samples out there. You don't necessarily have to, you
Have
know,
all that on your table. Like
yeah,
it's just excessive.
it's
So
expensive. It looks bad, and I don't. It's not good for the cannabis itself to be sitting out in the
in the
sun.
sun like that, you're losing terpenes and you're drying it out and making it all gross.
100%.
Oh.
So big event, a little event. Which do you prefer?
I like the smaller intimate ones, to be honest, because like you get to know people better. And it's more like it's quality time with like vendors and like even some of the show promoters. Like the smaller ones, you tend to run into the event promoter more, and like that's cool too, getting to meet those people and talk to them and see what they do and what they like and what they don't like and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, smaller events are fun. I'm grateful for any of them. The heck, there's so many anymore.
I know. I wish some of them would head over to the east side, southeast side of the state so much versus like west and northwest. Sucks driving 3 hours for an event every time.
I'm there with you. Yeah, I feel you. I wish that some of these events would kind of work together so they could reach more people 100%. I think that a lot of times there's too many good events at the same time, same weekends, that type of thing.
420 again in the chat. You can't pick between Tool and A Perfect Circle. It doesn't work. They're the same. They're both great. I grew up on Tool and A Perfect Circle. You can't make me pick. It doesn't work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my uncle literally has it tattooed somewhere on his leg. Tool. So those are the some of my favorite bands.
Right on. The only band I have a band tattoo myself, but it's suicidal tendencies, not to
Yeah.
another great band in my opinion. Not Tool great, but good.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't happy with their last album, to be honest.
Tool or suicidal?
Tool. I
No.
was pretty upset with it. I was like, man,
You ever
So
seen them in concert?
no, I was too young. I was like 9 or 10 when they were big. So my parents wouldn't let me go to that. My uncle used to sneak me their CDs and stuff when I was a kid. Same thing with like Eminem and everything. He was my biggest influence in music when I was a kid. He used to sneak me so much stuff. My parents were like super religious church people, and like I wasn't allowed to listen to like any kind of cussing or anything like that. Used to sneak Britney Spears CDs, Backstreet Boys CDs when I was a kid. Oh, that actually cassette tapes, because the cassette tapes were a thing when I was still a kid.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's cool that some uncles are like. I had the uncle like that too.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of did the same. Introduced me to a lot of cool music, and unfortunately, the same uncle introduced me to alcohol too.
Oh, geez. Yeah. See, mine tried to get me on cannabis, but I was scared of my parents at that time, so I told them no. But now that I'm an adult and I smoke it, he loves it. I help him in his outdoor grow every year and give him advice, and he always asks me, what I'm up to and what I'm doing, and tries to make shows, but never can. So he's got 5 kids himself.
Nice.
Mm. He's a girl dad, so he's got the drama going on because he's got a house full of teenagers.
I'm glad those days are over.
Yeah, I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with mine, man. My oldest is getting to that point where she's gonna start babysitting for me.
Nice.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you kind of cannabis comes later in life. A little bit different for you because you were like 23, but when you
Mm-hmm.
had that cannabis experience at some like events, Christmas, Thanksgiving, where you get to sneak out and have
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh, it's so much fun. All the cousins and stuff, we all sneak out, and my husband's parents are like, "Where'd everybody go?" And we come all back in Blaze's crap, and they all can tell. And they don't say nothing, but they know. So my husband's dad was a rocker when he was a kid, so he's been out and done all the whole party scene and everything. So it's it's fun. Family events and cannabis is very fun.
It is, and it changed my family, my personal family.
Nice.
You know,
Good for good or worse, though.
oh, we're way better,
Good.
way better. I have all girls, all of them growing up said, "I'm never gonna smoke weed." It's yeah, 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 yeah. One by one, as they got older,
They fell out and they smoked weed.
yeah, they
That's
felt.
freaking great. I love it.
And nowadays, when it comes to like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that shit, the doobies come out.
Nice. See, that's how it is at my mom's house, because like my mom's cannabis friendly. So like Thanksgiving, birthdays, wherever I go to her house for a barbecue, and we're smoking while we're barbecuing and hanging out, watching the kids run around the yard. So it's a little more uptight when we go to my husband's family because they're more religious. They don't, most of them don't smoke. A few of them do, but a lot of them don't. So it's the younger generation, like my husband and his cousins and stuff. We all disappear for half hour, 45 minutes sometimes, and then we come back.
Oh, yeah. It has definitely made the holidays a little more fun. When
Hmm.
they were growing up, it was, always, had the dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was, like you say, kind of step off, have them a couple of joints in. But now it's not. It's like
No.
clear the table, let's roll a couple. What are we gonna play?
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, we started playing freaking smoking games at my mom's house. I ended up falling victim to one of these freaking Instagram ads and bought Puff Puff Pass, which is like a card game. And we play that every time we go to my mom's house now. And
That's
it's terrible. We get wrecked.
that's super awesome.
Hmm. Yep. My mom's in her 50s, so she's living her best life. She loves it.
So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of asked about the kids, you know,
Hmm.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
My mine are older, and even, I had to really suck it up this year, to be honest with you. First two were tried cannabis after 21. So they was really well on their way to adulthood, legal. I didn't hear about their trying to use it until later. And that's the smoking stories I don't like to hear. Remember that time you we snuck into your tray and we were all
Oh,
outside? I'm like, oh, really? I don't like to hear them stories. But
that's funny. But you got to though, as a parent, you have to. Like I tell my mom stories now of when I was in high school and I used to like sneak out or like skip school for the entire day and she had no idea. I used to do that kind of stuff, but not all the time. But yeah.
so this year, my youngest,
Uh-oh.
my youngest became a cannabis user. And I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to say, and
That's the baby though. So that's like the last one. So I feel that because like I have a 7 month old and like she's been hitting milestones and I know it's my last one. And I'm just like, oh, you're doing that. No, no, slow down. Oh, like she's about to get teeth. I'm like, no, you got to keep your gums for like another 6 months. We can't have teeth yet.
I think in the end, I think that's what it was, to be honest. But
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with it for the longest time. I'm like, man. And then I spoke about it on the show, and chat called me out. The people that were on the panel called me out on it. They're like, oh, you listen to you, Mr. Cannabis, fucking always promote. Now
Yeah,
one of your kids, and now it's like, you don't know, fucking, it's
pump the
weird.
brakes. Yep.
And I'm like, still. And then they hit me right in the gut, right fucking where it hurt. And they were right. I had to accept it because she struggled from anxiety.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we know your opinion on cannabis and medical cannabis. Would you rather see her headed down the road of anxiety
Yeah.
medicine and shit? And I was like,
No, but I still don't want to see her smoke. I get
no,
it. As a
yeah,
parent, I totally get it, man. Totally get it. I'm the oldest out of all of my siblings, so like I didn't really think about that growing up now so much as I do as an adult of some of the things that like happened when I was a kid and things like that, but seeing it with my kids, I definitely see it. Like it's a difference between my oldest daughter and my youngest because like my oldest is 13 and my youngest is 10 months. So there's a very big age gap.
right on. Three, you said?
Hmm?
How many? Three?
I have four.
Four?
I have 2 girls and 2 boys. So I have a 13-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old son, a 4-year-old son, and a 10-month-old daughter.
Right on.
Yep.
That's a good variety.
Yep. Busy house.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome though. Kids are
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't change it, man. I love the craziness. I love all of my children. They're all great. So
Right on. Well, hopefully they wait until later in life and hopefully, no, not hopefully, but
my
hopefully
oldest has no interest in it. So she's like, it's cool, it's medicine, but I'm good.
I didn't see it coming either, but you know, I, I'm glad you're open-minded about it though.
Hmm. You have to be. I try to be. I try to be the parent. I try to see it from their side and I try not to judge right off rip. I try to like analyze everything and then make decisions based off that versus like totally going off emotion because like that just leads to bad stuff most of the time. So try to like level-headedly think of ways to get through certain situations with kids because they put you through some stuff.
Has cannabis ever got you in any trouble?
Has cannabis ever got me in any trouble? Yeah, actually, I've never been arrested for it, but I got pulled over one time. I didn't have any cannabis in the car. We had smoked in the car the night before. I definitely clam baked my car the night before, but was working third shift and came home from work, was speeding on the freeway, got pulled over. Cop, was like, roll your window down. He was like, your car smells funny. I need you to get out of your car. I'm going to search your car. This was before it was legal, obviously, and like everything. And I had a canine go through my car and they didn't find anything. So that's the only experience I've ever had with it that was bad.
Nice.
And it wasn't even bad. The guy was just a dick. Wanted to waste my time.
It happens. It happens.
So
Do you see yourself traveling for cannabis at some point? Going to
I actually already have. I went out, I got invited to Chicago by a couple of buddies and ended up doing a bunch of stuff and talking to sorry, I'm losing my voice. Talking to a bunch of different people in Chicago down there and linked up with some people, and I'm gonna try and work it out with them to where we can figure out ways to help them get their cannabis better in Chicago because it's insanely expensive down there. Like when I went for the day a couple weeks ago, it was like $70 for almost a half gram. And that's insane. Like you shouldn't have to pay $70 for half gram cannabis ever. And it wasn't even good cannabis either. That was the sad part about it, because it tasted like crap and it barely worked. So if I would have drove, I would have brought my own cannabis, but we flew. So I was stuck buying crappy Chicago weed. Sorry, people that live in Chicago, but your weed sucks. And you guys need a lot of help. So I went down there just for a day trip and ended up meeting some people down there and getting involved in that stuff and helping out, and still talking to them today and trying to help them navigate laws and get in contact with people and congressmen down there and, you know, district attorneys and things like that, and getting laws changed, because it's the way that they have everything set up is not, it's not user friendly. Like the whole experience down there, you go in and you don't get to see weed, you don't get to smell the weed. It's everything's ordered off of an iPad. So you don't even get to see it after you order it off the iPad. They bring it out to you in a little bag and then you take it to your car. It's insane. I haven't even ordered weed like that in Michigan.
That's what it's coming to. Pretty soon you'll walk through with just a fob or a little and they'll have your order at the counter for you.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
The dumb bud tender to explain. Yeah. At that point, maybe it might not be too bad. You might be able to scan and hit an information button and learn a little bit.
Yeah, but how many people are really going to hit that information button? Not very many.
Same person that's going to ask the question.
Yeah, you gotta make it convenient for people. That's the thing, is people are lazy and they don't want to put in the extra work. So if you give them all the information, sometimes they read it, sometimes they don't. So
and be another plus of that 20-minute video to actually instill some of that knowledge and give them, you know, some people some talking points. So while they're sitting around partaking in the cannabis, maybe they could start, you know, a good valid conversation about cannabis and, you know, what are some of the effects they're smoking for, and maybe even, you know, come to the realization why smoke.
Yeah. Well, like I was saying earlier, you shouldn't have like somebody who comes in off the street that should be able to tell you more about the product on the shelf than the bud tender. Like that should not have ever. Your bud tenders should be able to tell the people off the street every single thing about that product. They should know the products you're selling inside and out, forwards and back, like everything about it. And they don't. That's the problem.
And people are out there, they just, the provisioning centers, like anything else, don't want to pay for the information. Or
Nope.
people.
They don't at all. And that's the problem. And they should be paying for it because they're setting the examples for everybody else. So, and they're not doing a good job.
Quick dab. So is the tolerance break, hopefully you don't mind talking about this, is the tolerance break by choice, or is it because of the pending
it's kind of both. It's more so because once I go into anesthesia, there's a chance that with the cannabis, and if I'm stoned when I go in, it might not work properly. And same thing with like recovery. I want it to work fully when I recover because it's a big surgery. I'm having a full hysterectomy, so like I'm having everything removed, and it's like 6 weeks of recovery minimum. So I want basically I want my RSO to work like it's supposed to, and I want the dabs to work like they're supposed to for pain management after my surgery. So that's mainly why I'm doing it, so I can have better pain management. So I don't have to rely on painkillers or things like that. I can just straight up smoke cannabis and take RSO and not have to even go down the Vicodin or any of that road.
I can appreciate that. Was cannabis uh, um, a forethought as treatment before the medical stuff? I mean, is that even a thing? I mean, can cannabis be applied to, like, say, cervical cancer?
Oh yeah, I take RSO pretty much daily. Um, I have been taking it since I got diagnosed. I found out when I was pregnant with my daughter last year. Um, I went in for a routine checkup with her, and they had found a growth on my cervix. And since that checkup, it hasn't grown at all. After I had surgery, I had a surgery in between everything, and they took like a chunk of it while I was pregnant with her. And then basically it hasn't grown because I believe of my RSO use and my cannabis use. It's helped my tumor not grow. So I definitely think that's a big thing. It's helped to manage it, and it's helped it not spread and not grow any more than it already has. So
Well, I wish you the best in that up and coming procedure, and I think you're one of those people that you seem pretty optimistic going in. I think
it
that's
ain't gonna take me out. I'm not gonna let something like that take me out. It's gonna take so much more than that. So that's the mindset I'm gonna keep with, and that's the mindset I gotta have going into all that.
I agree. I agree. It's awesome to hear that that is the mindset. So cheers to you.
Thanks, man.
So any plans for after it all and through the healing process, a little bit of self love there? Are you gonna take yourself on vacation? You're gonna do
Actually, we were thinking about that. My husband and I, when we got married, we've almost been married for 10 years. When we said, when we got married, when we hit our 10-year wedding anniversary, we were going to go to like Japan or Germany. So I think we're going to move that up. And we've only been married for 7 as of this year. So it's like 3 or 4 years sooner. But I think we're going to do either Germany or Japan after my surgery and go for like a couple weeks.
that'd be awesome. I hope you guys do.
Mm, yeah. I'm all about
Uh,
traveling. Now that I've been traveling a lot since COVID hit in 2020, I've got the travel bug too, man. I want to see so much.
So what will come down to making the decision between the two? That's a pretty big gaps on the map there.
Um, my husband, pretty much, he gets really bad motion sickness, so it's going to be debating on which plane ride he wants to take. Whichever one will do better for him, pretty much, is whichever one we're going to go do.
Is there a draw in either place that may be the bigger reason?
Nah, Germany is, I have a lot of family that's from Germany. I'm a third generation American. So like my grandma is first gen, my mom's second, and I'm third. And then Japan is, I just like the culture. I'm obsessed with freaking sushi and Japanese food and Japanese culture. And I love it. So I just want to go over there and experience it and see it for myself and just see all of that.
Right. Right. It is pretty different. Very technical over there.
Mm-hmm. Very, very
Pretty,
technical.
pretty advanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
And
watch.
just the culture too, just the difference in the like the older culture and the younger culture out there. The younger generation has a lot of respect for the older generation, the Japanese culture. So it's just kind of cool to me how all that works out and how they've not changed. Like they're one of the very few civilizations that have stuck with their customs and stayed the same.
Any again, any geological places that you'd like to see there? I mean, both places have some beautiful country, especially.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. I definitely want to see Mount Fuji and go see the big like landmarks. I want to go see Tokyo. I know it's a big flipping city, but like I just want to see it. I don't know. I've been to Chicago. Chicago was the biggest city I've ever been to in my life, and that was crazy to me. So like I don't know. I just want to see the big city and see like what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah, both cool places. Hopefully, you make it to both, but
I'll
hopefully,
eventually make it to both. I don't know when, but I'm definitely doing both.
right on, right on.
Yep.
You
It's a
have your,
goal of mine.
do you have your visa and stuff already?
I don't. That's something I'm working on getting by the end of this year is getting my passport and stuff. It's something I've never had to do. So I didn't even know how to get a passport. I had to Google that.
It's more of a process than I thought it was.
Oh,
Like,
it's such a process. It's
yeah,
insane.
yeah,
But I can use that as an ID and I don't have to carry my regular little driver's license around anymore. So carry my fancy little book.
and I heard something the other day that what was it, 2025, that there's a special license that, you know, it's like a smart license that will
Yeah,
all.
it's an enhanced license. So if you live in the United States, you have to have an enhanced license to be able to leave the United States, fly on an airplane, any of that. So it basically is just like when you go to the DMV, you have to bring like 4 more proof of identification. So like instead of like your birth certificate and social security number, you need like 2 or 3 bills that have your name on it and like things like that. And it just verifies you are who you say you are. Basically, I don't know. It's a way to like get rid of the fake IDs and things like that.
I thought that's what, you know, basically what the ID was for. You know, we had bring in multiple.
Yeah,
It was us. I don't know. It's somewhat silly. I actually flew lately, which blew me away without a fucking picture ID. No, zero picture ID.
that's weird.
They let me fucking fly cross country on a Michigan cannabis license that didn't have my picture on it
Hmm.
and a
What
debit card.
airline?
Um, it was
I'm
a
curious.
small airline. I can't
Okay.
remember which.
Because I just flew Southwest to Chicago and they were like super security, everything. Like I only brought a carry on and they were like in that crap. So,
Oh no, I went to the West Coast and back. I was
nice.
scared to death that once I got there, I wasn't going to be able to come back.
Oh no.
I flew both ways with weed on me too, and they gave no shits.
Oh,
Everything was.
good. I wonder if it was because it was from illegal to a legal state.
I don't know. I reeked on the way back. I
That's pretty
mean,
cool though.
I had roaches in my pocket that stank. My
Yeah.
back stank.
I am terrified to get caught at the airport with cannabis, so I'll probably never try it. I'm a chicken shit. I'll admit that. I'm not going to jail over taking some weed on a plane where I can just fly somewhere that's got it. You know what I mean? I'd rather just travel to a state where I could buy it and then go to jail over bringing some stuff. Unless I'm driving, then I don't give a fuck. I'll drive. Who cares?
I was completely blown away, to be honest with you.
No, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah. I thought
I
I was.
definitely would fire that TSA agent if I was their boss, but that's just me.
Mm. Yeah, the only extra treatment that I had to go through is like they made me like take off my fucking shoes and step off to the side for so they can.
Yeah. Oh, I always get wanded. They always like to pull me over to the side and wand me. I'm like, thanks. It's wasting my freaking time.
Yeah, crazy. But
Hmm.
yeah, I hope that you do get your travels in.
Oh, I will. I got plans, man. My kids got to get a little bit older first, but then I got plans. I don't plan on sticking in one place for too long.
You plan on being a Michigan resident, or is
Oh yeah. Oh no, no, no. I plan on staying and being a Michigan resident, but I don't know if I'll own a house in Michigan. It might just be like travel constantly and come crash at mom's house once my kids are grown.
Word, nothing wrong with that.
No, it's
Yeah.
something I've always wanted to do. And I didn't get to. I had kids very young. I started off at 19, having my oldest. So I had plans on going in the military and everything, and that all got shelved because I had a kid. They wouldn't take me, because I wouldn't sign my rights away to her father at the time, which I'm not with. That's not my husband. That she has a different dad, but wouldn't sign my rights away. So because I had complete sole custody of her, I couldn't go do that because I was her only parent. So they wouldn't let me.
I don't know if I could have done the military. Yeah.
My whole family is military. My little sister's Air Force. I got cousins that are Marines. I got Navy people in my family, Coast Guard. So like my whole family's a big military family. So it was just something that we did. So it was a real big shock when I went from that path to going down cannabis. My family was like, huh? They kind of like all scratched their heads, like, what in the hell? So
Yeah, I'm on the fence that they should be. I'm cool with my military being able to consume cannabis in their off time,
oh,
or
for sure. It's the same thing as like off-duty cops and firefighters, nurses, doctors, all of that. Anybody in their off-duty time, if you're not doing your job and it's not affecting your job and it's not going to hurt you in the long run, who cares? Do it in your own time. Doesn't affect me. You're not coming to work, obliterated and prescribing me something because you can't focus. Like, I don't have a problem with it. You're coming to your job every day, doing your job, then smoke in your off time. It's the same thing as having a beer after work.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I would think better. I know a lot of first responders. I know a lot of vets, and unfortunately, both fields come with a lot of terrible baggage. I've got a lot
Yeah.
of respect for them people, but they do endure a lot of bullshit that a lot of us don't deal with
Yeah.
or
My mother-in-law, she's a trauma nurse. She sees tons of shit. Like, I couldn't even imagine some of the stuff she sees. I would have to smoke after all that, man. That would mess me up for freaking days. And she doesn't. She is like, she handles it so well, and I don't get it.
you think at some point you kind of become numb.
Yeah, to be honest, I do. I really do. I think so. Because like I don't I don't think you could do that every day. And this is a terrible um comparison, but like it's like animal shelters. You know what I mean? You go and you see these animals every day, you get desensitized to it. So it's not as shocking to you to see animals constantly abused and things like that. To where like you're working in the ER every day, you're seeing people come in these emergency situations bleeding or you know what I mean, super sick, things like that. So it's just normal at that point.
Yeah. And again, yeah, even if they don't become numb to that, I do, a lot of that, unfortunately, because of the legalness of cannabis, uh, these people drink or, find other ways if they haven't become numb to it to bury that kind of pain. And
Yeah.
I just think that should be an alternative for them. It's sad that because a lot of cases, the federal, they have that federal lean on them that it isn't even a possibility. So, man, hope that changes real soon.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that they need to have better outlets for people in situations like that with the medical and first responders and everything. They deal with so much and they don't get enough credit for what they do.
No, not at all. Yeah. Cheers to the vets and all the first responders.
Nah, for real. Thank you guys for every single thing that you do. Like it's a lot and it doesn't go unnoticed to most people.
Huge respect. Huge respect for those people.
Yep.
So what have we not covered, madam?
I don't know. We covered a lot, man.
I'm trying. I don't want to leave anything out.
I know. I'm trying to think. The only things that I got going on, I think we didn't talk about, is we have a new season of Frugal Force coming out towards the end of the year. Yep. And we'll have a bunch of new panel members and a bunch of new info for you guys.
There you go.
Yep.
And is there an official start date?
There is not. We are in talks right now amongst panel members to get some things worked out. I think we might have some new I want to say show style for you, because it's different than what we usually do Frugal as. So we're gonna give that a whirl. So have some fun stuff coming.
Right on. Right on. Live,
Yeah.
it sounds like live episode.
Yeah. Yep. Sounds like we're gonna try live. So that'll be cool for everybody. It'll be something new for Frugal Force. So I don't think they've ever done live. Maybe the first season, I think there was some live episodes, but I came in season 2 for that one.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the lives offer a little bit more of it fishes it for information a little bit more, because you have the people asking questions in chat. Sometimes it throws things off a little bit, but sometimes it can deepen the subject a little bit.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Right on.
I think I'm gonna end up getting off here though.
Right on. Couple of things before you go,
Yeah.
madam, if you don't mind.
Yep.
First and foremost, I'd like to remind you that the link that I sent you this evening is always good. You are now officially welcome into the Weed Nerd world. Anytime you'd like to come hang out,
Awesome.
you're welcome. At this point, there is no longer an invitation. It is
Nice.
come and go as you please type thing. The
Nice.
official Weed Nerd worlds are Mondays and Thursdays, 9 o'clock Eastern
Hell
Standard
yeah.
Time. So anytime you want to come on, hang out, we always look forward to, more viewpoints, more conversation.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah. I was gonna say I try to catch your show, man, but sometimes I'm just not awake. So I watch it on the next morning. But you guys have been doing good stuff, and I appreciate all you do for the community, man. You do a lot too, so it doesn't go unnoticed.
Well, I appreciate that 100%. And I think we all have our little niche to make the community work. And yeah, I appreciate that you're holding your little place down too. So
Trying.
we all have to push it forward. We all have to push forward.
Hell
The other
yeah.
thing I'd like to get from you before we go is a little thing I call the sound bite. At some point, it will be a commercial for your episode. So basically, what I'm looking for, my version thereof is, hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 817. You can put whatever you want before that. But basically, in a nutshell, that's what I'm looking for. And I am ready for that right now.
Gotcha. This is Madam Euphoria, and I am on Talking Shit with Eagle. You said episode 817? Episode 817.
Right on. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
For sure, man.
Don't be a stranger. I look forward to getting to know you a little bit better in the Weed Nerd world and hanging out with you possibly at some of these events.
Hell yeah. You'll see me around. I'll be around.
Right on.
For sure.
With
You
that,
guys have a good night.
We will. With that being said, thank you guys very much for tuning in and hanging out with this evening. Don't forget to do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. And with that being said,